know, because then I'll probably go to sleep at like 1 or 2 p.m., which is pretty off schedule. Not that I have one. Just do whatever.
Is that Kit Kats?
Probably is.
I follow this one musician, and like on his Instagram account, he like posted. I don't know who posted it, but I'm assuming it's him. And it shows him like in an ambulance, and the caption is like "second suicide attempt this week" or something. It kind of throws me out. Like, are they joking? Half joking?
Well,
Well,
pretty brutal.
yeah. How do you feel about people posting that kind of stuff online?
I don't know. I think it's a cry for attention. Fucking hate crybabies. Like people feeling bad about themselves and shit. It makes me like irrational angry in some ways. I don't know why.
Like, is attention? Can you replace that word for help, or are they different?
I guess it's a cry for attention in a way that you want people to notice that you have a problem. So I guess in a way it is. Like
Hmm.
I don't know.
But it's like the way they go about it is like wrong. You think?
Yeah.
Like you feel like they're guilt tripping people into helping them as opposed to just reaching out and having a genuine connection with someone.
I know it's hard. The reason I don't like people feeling bad about themselves is because it's not productive in any way. Like you're not getting anywhere by just standing still and crying about it. Not that it's all right to do that to some extent, of course, but I also feel that like if you do it too much, it's just unproductive as fuck. Like
Hmm.
in some ways.
Yeah, but I guess if someone attempted and they like, I mean, I guess it depends on how serious the attempt is. If like they did something that they're likely to survive, then like what if they just died? Then they would be like posted places anyways. Like people would be writing on their wall that they like RIP. So maybe like the cry for help is better than them actually being dead. Maybe it'll save their life in the long run. Who knows?
Mm. It's kind of weird, but also like a friend of the family killed himself like 2 years ago. Nobody fucking knew why he did it. There was no like reason to think that that guy was gonna kill himself. You know, it just came out of the blue.
But that like
And
goes to
he
show you
wrote,
how like little people know people that they think they know really well.
yeah, like I thought I saw him at some family things and he seemed all right. You know, like just his usual self, nothing out of particular. He wrote a note. Like the only thing he wrote was sorry on a note, and then he hanged himself. Nobody fucking knew why he did it. Like people were speculating, maybe like he was stressed out or some shit, but nobody really knew. And to this day, nobody knows like why he killed himself.
Hmm.
Like not a single person has like a good guess
How old
why
was
he
he?
did it. He was like 38. He had a wife, 2 kids, and like
Hmm.
had like an IT job, made good money. And then he killed himself. So I guess you're right about maybe it can be beneficial to like try to get help in that way by paying attention instead of because it's pretty horrifying, like for me at least, that some people can just disappear. You have no idea how they're feeling or their mental state, and you think they're all right, but
Yeah, I feel like we like society in general values like acting over uh, honesty. Well, that's kind of obvious, I guess, but like people don't realize how that affects like even your closest relationships. Like you're still act. Most people, I think, are still acting in a way. You know, they wouldn't even dare say some things to people that they've known for years because they realize how important it is not to like. Well, I don't want them to think I'm like being manipulative or guilting them or crying for attention or something, you know, and then that
mm,
becomes priority in like so many circumstances where it doesn't need to be at all.
mm. I know. But I think definitely with the case of this family friend, like it's definitely a case of like a malfunction in his brain in some ways. Like because there's a difference between being depressed because your life is shit and then being depressed even though you're in good circumstances, then you're still depressed. But that's when you need probably medication or some shit, right? Like if you know
Well,
what I mean.
yeah, I mean, but a lot of people's like depression stems from like not necessarily always like a brain thing. Even if you're like in a good circumstance in life situation, you know, like your your view of the world and life and existence is like I don't know, maybe like the foundation of it was like it was built on like something really unstable or like there's I don't think it's necessarily I don't know, it's just fucked up the way that people see the world sometimes or
Yeah, I get that. Like I feel like I'm one of those cases where I have good circumstances, but I think myself into a grave and then I do nothing, basically. So, even though I don't feel depressed, I just like from an outside perspective, I probably seem really depressed, but I don't feel so. But like I don't know, if
yeah, I
an
don't
SJ was looking down at my life, like they would think I was suicidal. But I
Do you
don't
ever
feel
get that
I don't
thing
feel that way though.
when like bad circumstances arise? Are you kind of like relieved that you actually have a real problem to distract you from like the fake problems that you had in your head? or that you created in your head?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I often I don't know if it's weird, but I often thought about how it would be if like my mom died or my dad died, like how things would change in my life. Like how would I react? Like how would people think of me? Like would I get attention because my parents died? Some shit. You know, it's not in a bad way that I wanted them to die. I just like hypothetical thought about like how the circumstances in my life would change if I would be motivated, you know, because maybe the loss of a parent can go both ways. You know, it can make you more motivated to do stuff because you realized how much you were missing or some shit, or it can
How like precious life is, or something. Yeah.
yeah
Imagine
exactly, and
you
then it could go the other way
outlining the
where you
pros.
feel nothing has a purpose because your parents are not there to see your accomplishments or something. I don't know.
Are you outlining the pros of dead parents?
Yeah,
I guess that is what we're doing. The pros and cons.
that's basically what I did actually. Like I don't know why I did it. I don't want my parents to die though. It's just I don't know, fun thought experiment.
He's like, I don't want my parents to die.
What if they did?
I mean, I think it's mostly we're talking about like the effects of it and how like chronically depressed. I've noticed at least that chronically depressed people, when a really traumatic thing happens in their life, it actually has the opposite effect that it would have on someone who is actually happy their whole life for the most part. Like those
Hmm.
people are really devastated and they go to like a new low that they couldn't fathom beforehand, and then um, usually like depressed people, they have a huge like
Epiphany.
shift, yeah, like a shift in the way they view things in a positive way for whatever reason, obviously after the grieving process because everyone grieves, but
Yeah, yeah. I think it's also why, you know, there's a lot of cases where people have tried to commit suicide and they almost did it, but then like after they woke up, after they maybe thought they died or something, you know, they got a new perspective on things. Like people, you know, like fucking shooting themselves in the heart. I saw just a random article about a guy who shot himself in the heart, but he missed, or it hit like his rib, so it bounced off. So he just kind of, I don't know, I guess I don't know what the word is, but then he woke up and he had like a completely new view of the world because he thought he died, you know,
hmm.
when he didn't. No,
Why didn't he go for the head though?
I don't know. I didn't think about that. Maybe because it's messy, it's not noble.
I mean, it's definitely more like four-ish to shoot yourself in the heart as opposed to the head,
Hmm.
but
You die instantly if you shoot yourself in the heart.
I mean, I think that most of the suicides that like are successful have been in the head, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Hmm.
Like, there's a specific area you have to aim at too. And I think
Yes.
like men are 3.5 times more likely to succeed in killing themselves, and I think that they also are more likely to choose that method. Well, which obviously kind of goes hand in hand, but with the
Like
success rate. But
if I were to kill myself, I probably would choose like read this thing. It's like something you use to cleanse jewels or some shit, and it's like really toxic. And you can like blend it with some water, and basically like when you take it after like 30 minutes, you get really sleepy, and then you'll basically go into a coma slowly, and then your heart will stop beating like after like 1 or 2 hours in the coma. if nobody finds you, that is. Then
Hmm.
your heart basically just stops beating and you die. You don't feel a thing.
Hmm. You remember the name of that drug?
No, I just read it in a 4chan post.
I'm asking
And
for
then
a
I kind of looked into it.
friend.
But I've never gotten to the point where I wanted to kill myself. I think it requires you to, like, I don't know. I don't know how it's like, how to get there at all.
Well, it's just like, well, I guess the people, the common thread was that the two most common feelings that made you most likely to commit suicide were like feeling shame and feeling trapped. Like those are the two big standout features.
Mm,
And also just like, I guess simply put though, a lot of it is like just not having enough coping resources for whatever you're dealing with. So seems like the only answer, but
yeah, they can't distract themselves enough from the thoughts.
I mean, like you've had intrusive thoughts though, right? Before, like where you just have like a really just something that can't leave your mind, whether it be like an anxiety or
Yeah, like I had the hypochondria thing, but it wasn't like a thought. It was just like a constant state of anxiety of dying. Like,
like imagine that, but imagine like the thought and the drive is towards death as opposed to away from it.
hmm, yeah,
Like imagine like in like over and over throughout the day, instead of thinking about ways that you might be dying so you can avoid it, you think about ways that you could just kill yourself instead.
yeah. It, you were like hypochondriac as well, right? At
Yeah.
some stage. I often thought that after I kind of got over the hypochondriac thing, that maybe I kind of numbed myself emotionally because I remember the way I got over being a hypochondriac was by like not giving a fuck if I lived or died, basically. Like I just kind of got tired of being afraid. So
That's
I
such
was
a
just like,
thing.
I was just like, fuck it. If I fucking die, I don't give a fuck. And then like a couple of months, I just ran around and didn't care if I lived or died. And then I kind of went back to normal. And now when I think about like being a hypochondriac or like the things that made me uneasy before, like I don't get affected at all. Like I just bounce it off really easily.
It's weird. It all comes down kind of to like you can't value your life too much or too little. If you value it too much, then you get anxiety about dying, and then if you value it too little, then you kind of just want to die.
Mm.
Or
But it
like
was,
sometimes I'll get like, do you ever get like so excited about life in the future that it instantly, or not instantly, but gradually turns into anxiety because you suddenly like life again and you're like, I'm probably not
actually,
going to live to see all of this that I'm like imagining in my head.
actually, when I stopped smoking weed a couple of months ago, I the reason I was afraid of quitting weed was because I was afraid of like enjoying life in some way. Like I don't know if you know what I mean, but in some way it was basically that. Like I was afraid of that if I stopped smoking weed, that it would like I would feel too much.
Hmm. Like you'd be living in the moment constantly and you don't know if you could deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
I always had that like when if you smoke weed a lot, you kind of get in this like different reality like all the time, basically. Like it's like you're not real,
Yeah, I remember that feeling.
but you feel that constantly, and like it's a way to escape. Like maybe it was because I was afraid of SE stuff. You know, it's like my polar, so I thought it when I smoked weed, it kind of removed that SE anxiety.
It kind of just like allows you to live in like a fairy tale land while like sort of like
Mm.
sort of not really participating in real life. Like I remember if I woke up and didn't have weed, I was like the most miserable person on the fucking planet. Like I had to have weed. I would like I remember I like sold jewelry just for like to get weed. Like gold that I could have sold for way more. I ended up selling it for kind of cheap just because I
Mm.
needed it.
Yeah, like I just got in this the like how I stopped smoking was that my reason for it was that not my reason, but the way I did it was that I kind of like replaced the need for weed with something else. So I replaced it with like smoking,
Now
and
you
it
smoke
actually worked.
cigarettes.
Yeah,
I have a friend who did that, but now he's like, oh, I wish I never like started smoking cigarettes.
yeah. But at least I know cigarettes is like way worse, like physically, but at least mentally it's doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to like I just bought like a vape like yesterday to replace cigarettes. So I slowly replace my I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that like INTPs are the type most likely to smoke, but then also they're like more or one of the types most likely to smoke, but they're also likely to like quit before it gets out of hand, kind of.
Yeah,
So instead of it being like a lifelong thing, it's kind of just like a thing that they always want to do, but they just don't do it for forever.
I think I can quit anything at any point like without like feeling really bad about it or not bad about it but like physically feel worse or mentally but I just don't see a reason why not to do it when it makes you feel good, you know?
Hmm.
Kind of boring not like smoking or vaping. At least that's the feeling I get. Like, oh, I want to do something. I want to distract myself with something, so I smoke a cigarette or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like my go-to if I'm super anxious. Do you have any things you're addicted to, Naz? Doesn't have to be drugs. Uh,
Nah, and that's kind of an interesting thing. I think a lot of that has to do with being a nine and being naturally
What is a
naturally
nine actually? I
anything
totally
nine.
forgot.
So seeking comfort, right? So naturally suppressing anything that would uh, anything that would provoke a need for addiction or whatever. Like I'm never anxious. I don't get stressed or any shit like that because I'm very
Hmm.
well attuned just keeping everything naturally low.
So you're good at projecting like bad stuff, like from the outside, in a way.
Say that again.
Negative stuff, maybe it's a better word. Like you're good at projecting negative stuff. So you always feel like you are comfortable. If you know what I mean? Even.
Like he doesn't want another thing to worry about that would make him comfortable, so he keeps it to a minimum, kind of thing. Is that what
Hmm.
you're saying, Nas?
I'm just saying I've had the need or no need to develop any sort of addictions or anything.
Because you're already like comfortable with what you have right now.
Right. It's
Okay.
yeah, it's keeping things minimalistic um, as much as possible. So
Okay.
yeah, and in a sense, it's like being robbed from some aspect of the human experience by not having a lot of these uh, discomforts or ails or whatever that normal people go through. It's like I'm fucking asleep or something, and everyone's like living life and experiencing shit. I'm just like here, safe and psychological comfort.
Yeah.
So you kind of like wish that you like got to experience more of the dark side, kind of.
In a sense, right? But
Maybe it's. I'm sorry. I was just thinking maybe it's something to do with inferior SE. You know, you wanna do stuff, but you don't quite like know how to do the experiences the right way in some sense.
yeah, and when it comes to things like substance, like you were asking me once, like what all I've done. That I've only, it's just weed and alcohol, right? I have a tendency to drink a lot though when I drink, so like I don't have any sense of self-preservation on that front.
Hmm.
So I think I have the propensity to be an alcoholic because it gives you the semblance of feeling like you're in control, and it it works very well with um, my natural numb as being a 9 and suppressing shit.
Does
But,
it make you confident drinking?
yeah, definitely.
So for most people, it like uh, it sort of numbs them, but it kind of just like makes you float because you're already numb.
Exactly. And it lowers whatever few inhibitions that I have. Well, I'm sure I've got a lot of inhibitions, but uh, I like myself when I'm drunk. I get pissed off when I smoke, though. I get like really fucking mad, get high.
Even if you're by yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's funny.
Just
Just like,
imagine.
what do you like? Do you dwell on like something, or like do you just like uncontrollably mad?
It's a tendency to enjoy something, and then it turns into uh, like paranoia or whatever.
Yeah.
So it'll be a pleasant thought, and then I'll realize like, and the more I smoke, so the more baked I get, then it's like uh, just noticing the other side of the coin, and then that just really pisses me off.
Hmm. I guess I kind of like I remember. I think I know the feeling you're talking about. Not I don't know if I could actually like convey it in words, but I remember being irritable in general, and if anything at all, disturbed like my peace that I was really trying to achieve while I was stoned. Like it just threw me way off. Like it was so unmanageable. Like, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like if the doorbell rang, I would like that would. It didn't freak me out necessarily. It would just bother me like deeply that I had to get up and go pretend to be like living on planet Earth with this person for like 2 seconds.
That's how I naturally am. Like when I'm by myself and I'm, I guess, really in touch with what's going on inside. It's just naturally really pissed off and wanting to be alone, you know?
Hmm.
So that's like really amplified when I'm high.
How do you reconcile that when you're in a relationship, though?
How do I reconcile?
Wanting to be alone with being in a relationship?
I think FE has a large part to do with it. I mean, it's a conscious decision to switch my frame of reference to introspection and just noticing the other person, to start drinking them in their cues, the things that they're talking about, whatever's going on with them in that moment.
Have you
Hmm.
been drunk with your girlfriend? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we
I
got
could imagine that would like, I don't know about you guys, but like drinking with someone I don't know makes me, and like when I get to know them when I'm drunk, it like it's a new level of connection. I feel like almost because you're so honest with each other in some way when you're drunk. So it like creates a level of trust that you wouldn't like normally like get when you're in like a normal state. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think also it has to do with the fact that when you're drunk, you're kind of just thrilled to have whatever's in front of you. Like, I could stare at a wall while I'm drunk and be like super fucking thrilled, like, oh my gosh, that wall's amazing. So if you put a person there and then you contrast that to like how many mundane small talk sober conversations you've had the whole week, talking
Mm.
to like someone that you barely know uh while drinking, it's like you're interesting because you're new, and also I'm drunk, so you were going to be interesting anyways, kind of.
Mm. I don't know about you, Nas, but for me, I get really nostalgic when I'm drunk. Like I'll listen to music and I'll be like, oh my god, so fucking great. I don't know,
Like that's when your FI kicks in, kind of.
maybe I don't know. I just get really nostalgic when I'm drunk. I'll listen to like music or I don't know. My mood shifts a lot when I'm drunk. Like one moment I'll be really happy, and the next moment I'll be like, fuck, this is really I'm really feeling like awful right now.
Is that just when you're drinking alone or when you're with other people?
Like when I'm drinking with other people, I really, I think my mood shifts a lot when I'm with people. I don't know. Like one moment I'll be really happy that I'm with some people, and then the next moment I just want to be alone. But when you drink Neptune, do you like to get like really drunk, or do you just like to get to like a level where you're just kind of wasted, but not like totally, fucked?
Uh, so like sober me is like I know which feeling is the most euphoric, but when I'm drinking, like I chase that euphoria until it turns into me blacking out, and it's gotten me into like a lot of trouble in my life. So
Okay, so you kind of just drink until you feel fucking amazing, and then
yeah,
sometimes you don't hit that level, and then you just black out drunk.
well, it's like
What?
I hit that level and I want to maintain it, and I also kind of want to like feel more of it, but it's not really possible, At a certain point in drunkenness, you really can't feel any better, and it just turns into like being like a fucking idiot. Uh,
Yeah.
and who's not even really there anymore. So I don't know.
I feel like when I'm drinking, I hit this like I have to hit this level of happiness, but I can only maintain that state for like maybe 1 hour to 2 hours, and then it kind of like falls again in a way.
No, I think that no, that makes sense actually. That's kind of I think that's for everyone though, maybe, depending on
Hmm.
how you pace yourself probably.
Hmm. Like I'll drink in the start. Like if I drink maybe 2 to 3 beers every hour, I'll start like after maybe 2 to 3 hours, I'll feel a little bit better, a little bit more confident, and feel good. And then like maybe after like 6 hours of drinking or some shit, I'll really peak. I'll feel really fucking good, but I'm really fucking drunk at the same time. And then like after 1 or 2 hours of that, I'll just crash. Like I'll just feel like throwing up or goes to bed or whatever. Sleepy as fuck.
Do you always drink beer during when you go out or drink? Or
Drink
do
everything.
because I mean
I like to
that's part of
not.
it too.
What?
That's part of it too. Like if you drink like liquor every hour, like only like one double or something every hour, you can
Hmm.
kind of maintain that general good feeling, if you slow
Hmm.
yourself down with liquor. But
Do you think you can get drunk in different ways depending on what you drink?
I don't know about that. I
Hmm.
mean, it's possible, but I don't think so. Yeah, I think people have this tendency to okay, so like they'll probably be like happen to be in a bad mood and then drink tequila that night, and then from then on they have this subconscious association with like
Hmm.
rage and tequila. So every time they drink tequila, like they don't realize that it's actually that's influencing them or something, or they make a connection that's like
Like a placebo.
yeah, or yeah, or like maybe the first experience you have with it, just you think that that's a thing, but it really had to do with your day as opposed to the alcohol. I mean, I think beer and liquor affect you differently, probably, but mostly in terms of like sluggishness, not really like mood so much.
What up, Nick?
Yo, 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 yo.
Is that your car?
Huh?
I feel like we're in your car right now.
You are in my car right now. Is it comfy? Just move that shit out of your way. I meant to clean last week, but this thing's fucking. It's gross, I know.
Do you get grossed out when you see someone's car is dirty and you have to ride in it, Magnus?
Actually, I don't have a driver's license.
No, I mean like if a friend is giving you a ride and their car is gross.
Or like I actually have like I think I have a pretty high tolerance for gross shit. Maybe it's because I'm gross as fuck myself, so I kind of have a high tolerance for everybody around me. I, I don't I don't know. Like I don't generally give a fuck because I don't like to intrude. Like I don't want to tell somebody, holy fuck, that's gross. Maybe I'll think, okay, that's pretty nasty, but like I won't say anything or something. But I like genuinely think that it's gross.
I mean, I guess it depends on like the kind of mess that it is.
Who the person is, like no shit.
Yeah, if it's a stranger in their car or a general like someone you don't know that well and their
Hmm.
car is a mess, then it's like
If it's my dad and it's like he has a lot of shit in it, like different kind of stuff, like trash and stuff. Like I won't mind at all. I won't even think about it. Like it's gross. But if it's like a stranger or whatever, and I see like they have some, I don't know, some paper towel shits in the back, I'll be like, holy fuck, that's kind of disgusting.
like if someone has a lot of clutter in their car and stuff though, and I don't know them that well. I kind of think more highly of them in some weird way because I kind of think that they're so unaware of their environment and messy that they must be like complex or something and like intuitive. But
Look at this.
you should really get rid of those syringes, Nick.
I had to look. I was like, what? There's really syringes?
Yeah, but if it's just gross and not cluttered, but if it's just gross, then yeah, I think it's.
But I think INTPs like have pretty fucking high tolerance. At least the others I've spoke to as well. Like we have pretty high tolerance in our own home for like dirty shit, basically. Like I don't know about you, Neptune. If you feel like you can live in pretty like dirty and you can live in a dirty mess and still feel like decent mentally. Of course, it would be better if it wasn't like totally fucked. But like you can still
Like my own bedroom, I don't give a fuck what it looks like for the most part, but I do feel better when it is clean.
yeah.
But like the rest of the house, if that's dirty, then that kind of like it throws me off. I don't like it.
I think it's an iffy thing. Like, or maybe you think to yourself, oh, if others see this fucking mess, they'll think, holy shit, this guy's gross.
No, it's kind of like my mind is like chaotic, and then I'm like, and my house is chaotic, and the world is chaotic, and the universe is chaotic, and so I kind of just like get really anxious, I guess, and
Hmm.
I kind of get overwhelmed if there's not like some safe like place where things are kind of in order, I guess.
Yeah, I get that. Like, that's why my mom, like, she was really good at that shit. Like, making me do stuff like that, you know?
Like I just moved like 2 weeks ago. I got shit all over my living room, and if I like take the time to pay attention to being like out of place and just shit strewn all over the place, it it pisses me off. And a lot of things piss me off, but it's just a natural tendency to. It's easier to in the moment just forget my surroundings like perpetually than to go through the period of time of being angry and like getting stuff in order or whatever. That's just kind of like my own environment. It's pretty shitty because
Hmm.
I just don't want to jump that hurdle to actually get it put together.
Yeah, but like the moving process is overwhelming enough, so it's kind of harder probably to like focus on that, when things haven't even really been unboxed, I imagine.
Yeah, that's my way normally. Like if I just let shit go. I don't know if it's like a lack of TE or whatever, but not being able to comprehend what you need to do to do something or order.
Like you don't know where to start, kind of.
Yeah, essentially.
It seems kind of overwhelming. So you just kind of have to start somewhere, and then like you should slowly figure out like where to put stuff. At
It's
least
like
that's
that
my
at work too. Like unrelated, they're like messes, but I work with a lot of separate projects. I've got like 6 different people coming to me for they need this or they need that shit, whatever. And it's just a big mess that's kind of thrown at you at once. I'm like pissed off every day.
So when you just move, do you think it like affects you a lot when you're 9 and you see comfort and stuff? I think it affects you a lot more when you're 9, like moving to a new place.
I just think it means that I never unpack.
Maybe after a while, when you get used to things.
What have you told her about? What have you told your girl about this place, son?
I have. I showed her a couple videos.
What'd she say?
I do. Thought it was interesting.
She was like, "Nice." So
Yeah.
what are we doing today?
I just want to know what the outside world thinks about this place. Kind of, just curious.
Yeah, I can hear you, dude.
He said he wants to know what the outside world thinks about this place. He's just curious.
She's a stoner and a gamer too, so she's always talking to people in Discord. So
Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know, like when I first noticed this place, didn't think it was weird. Just lurked around so much that like I kind of got used to it in some ways. It's pretty funny to look back how much actually like when you use the old GGM thing and stuff. Like I would just sit in the chat for like 6 hours and not say a thing, and I would do that for like 2 months.
Okay, so I really want to know what went, like, your observations, like like from when you first came in, things that struck you, and then the change of your point of view on things, or things that, like, just in general,
I think
what that was like.
when I first like just joined GGM for the first time, I, I just remember feeling like holy shit, I know nothing about this stuff, you know? Like I felt like I had nothing to contribute with because it just felt like everybody that was in the room was so like they knew so much about MBTI and stuff, and I always thought I was bad at English, so I just kind of lurked and didn't do anything. Like I didn't participate because I just didn't feel like I had anything to contribute with at all.
But it interested you still. Something like what what got you to stay, even though you thought those things.
I think it's because at that time when I noticed this room, uh, I was kind of like I felt like the outside world was kind of boring and like I didn't really feel understood in any way. Like, I just thought everybody around me was so different, and then when I joined GTM, it felt like there was somebody like more like me, or at least liked the same things that I liked and thought the same way that I did. So I kind of felt compelled because, yeah, that's basically it. Because I felt like people were more like me, at least, or thought the same way. Or...
And it was it was a couple people. Like, was it Eric? Or, well, you don't actually. Probably best you don't name names unless you want to. But was it just a general sense of that, or there was like, could you say it was a type, or like, was it? How could you break off? How could you describe the type of people in here you related to most, unless it was all of them that gave you that kind of feeling?
I don't like. I don't think it was anything in like anybody in particular. Just I just like the different things you were talking about was was interesting, you know, because when you talk about like when you talk with people like you're mostly surrounded by SJs, right, in your normal life, and
Yeah.
I never had like like a conversation like we do in here with anybody in my life before, basically because everyone in
Wow.
my family, except myself, is a sensor, so I never thought you could have this kind of conversation. Like literally, I literally didn't think that anybody thought the same way that I did before. Like I kind of discovered MBTI because I was always surrounded by sensors. Like I don't know. Of course, I realized I had some like INFJs. There was one INFJ around me and one INTJ, but they weren't really my friends. And like my family is purely sensors almost.
How do you think, has that made you more optimistic in general, would you say? How has
Mm.
that impacted your view? I mean, what
Do
you
you
said
think
to
regarding
me,
MBTI or just being in here, or what do you mean?
you're discovering that there's people that thought like you, that you weren't alone.
It made me realize how different we actually are, and people need different things. Like for example, I kind of like I never really like, for example, my mom is an ISFJ, so it made me realize like through MBTI and in here like what kind of things made her happy in a way, and what makes her think that I'm okay, you know.
Yeah, that's important. That's
So
important.
it made me realize that I guess the needs of the people around me, and that made me more confident in life in general.
Wow, that's pretty fucking dope.
Like for example, I realized that just for example with my mom specifically, I just know she really like I'll call her like once a week, and you know, and that really changed because I used to never call my mom. Like I would call her every 3 months or something, but now I do it like once a week
That's
because I know it
amazing.
like. And also, like regarding stability, I'm always direct. Like I won't say like she'll ask me, "Are you coming to this birthday?" And I'll say no, because and not lie to her and be like, "Yeah, I'm coming," and then in the last second, "Oh, I'm not coming," blah blah blah, giving her excuse. That actually made her more. I think it made her more happy in general that I do that, where I'm just more direct instead of kind of saying, "Oh yeah, I'm coming to birthday," but then I just cancel in the last second. That actually makes her more upset than if I just tell her directly when she asks me. So I started doing that instead.
Huh. That's interesting.
Did she still try to guilt you into going to the party?
Yeah, but she'll use the weak FE arguments. It doesn't really affect me. Like to tell me like, oh, you have to come to this because it really means a lot to this person. If it would really mean a lot to this person if you came. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But of course, I won't say that to her, right? But that's the kind of argument she means. Like, my mom is so sweet. Like she. The funny thing is, she thinks I'm so emotional. That's the funny thing. She thinks I'm
My
such
mom
an
does
emotional
too.
guy. What?
My mom thinks that about me too.
And I'm like, Mom, I'm like the least emotional person ever, but it's like she thinks I'm hiding all my feelings or some shit.
Magnus, you can be honest with us.
It's totally like that. She thinks I'm so full of emotions. I just can't get it out. I'm just a shy person.
Well, that's an awesome kind of mom to have.
She always thinks the best of me. I kind of feel like I'm
That
cheating
sounds
her in
like my
some
mom,
ways.
man. Yeah.
She always thinks the best of me, and like when I did shit back in school, she'll be like, "Oh, Magnus did not do that. I don't believe it." You know? And I'm like, Mom, I really did it, and I'm sorry. And she's like, it's almost like she projected totally, even though I admitted to doing something bad. She'll still think for herself, it's not the real him, so it doesn't matter, you know?
I was really fucking intimidated when I first came in here because this is a room dominated by NTs and that TI is massive, right? So coming from an environment or real life where you can use FE and just kind of charm your way through shit and still being intuitive, be smarter than like 80% of the people in the room. Coming in here, I felt like I had nothing to.
Yeah, the exact same for me, Nas. That's what I was trying to explain.
Right, and it's not even in the sense of like an insecurity. Maybe it is. I don't know, but just understanding that something that you're really good at isn't valued, and then just sitting back and like, okay, well, I'm just gonna sit back and learn almost, because when you're used to being around people that don't require a lot of effort, and you can you find yourself being stuck in a lot of idiotic ways of thinking, and being an INFJ whose TI is very vulnerable, and like our prize don't want to fucking look stupid, right? So it's spending a lot of time having a theory in my own mind or an understanding of how something works, but never wanting to say it because you know that there are 6 different arguments that come from the 8 NETI people in the room to just shut it down.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I relate to that too. Especially because I'd never encountered someone like Eric, you know? I'm used to like me just wording things in ways that are like that people just kind of swallow it, even if it doesn't make any fucking sense. But Eric is like not having it at all. And like even the resistance kind of proved that I kind of had some ego issues, I guess, in relation to like TI.
Actually, now you mentioned Eric, he was actually the one that really drawn me in because he just seemed like he didn't give a fuck. Like, and I thought that was intriguing that like he seemed like he didn't give a fuck about what other people think about like the way he thinks or the way he do stuff. And he's so like he was kind of honest with himself, you know?
He is super. Yes, I value those things about Eric too.
Mm.
Sure.
I learned like a shit
It's kind
ton
of
from
fresh.
You what? What's up, Tim?
Did he fucking die or something? They're giving his eulogy?
I know, right? No, I mean, it takes a lot for me to admit that. Like, I mean, I don't just tell people that I learn or say that I learn from someone if I don't. But like, I've learned like putting it into perspective. It's only been like 6 months maybe that I've been in here. Less than that, probably. Um, yeah, definitely less than that. And like the amount of stuff I've learned from Eric and Room in general is kind of like.
And in this episode of TWFP, Neptune learns humility.
I mean, I knew false humility before, which is like kind of the same thing, you know?
But yeah, I actually like when I think further, like Eric, the thing about Eric is he just seemed to embrace his quirks in his personality. Like he admitted it was something, I guess, negative, but he just couldn't do anything about it because of the way he's cognitively structured, I guess. Like with his SI stuff, you know? Like when he has a girlfriend, she tells him, "Oh, why don't you put the fucking thing in the trash?" And you're like, "Sorry, I'll try to remember last time, but I can't promise I'll remember." You know, some people can't handle that sort of thing.
No doubt.
But isn't it kind of weird that in the span of like 5 months, people learn more from people on the internet than the people that they've spent like 2 decades with? Like, that's kind of weird.
So what did you say? The first thing you said?
Like, I feel like I've learned more from like people in the room for in like 5 months than people that I've known for like a decade or more.
Hmm.
Like, I don't like learn shit from a lot of people, or haven't learned shit from most people in my life.
It's a combination of